Our oldest, Lucas, has moved to the home farm with his girlfriend. And our quest right now is to let them be there. He would like to take over the dairy farm, um, and try it out, right? So he has no name on any paper or whatever. He's experimental.
Mhm.
He's working on the farm. We are putting a lot of stuff into his hands to do, like call farm credit, make a meeting, tell them we need to look after everything. We need to sit together, like talk to crop insurance. He's doing everything. We are just kind of letting him manage and trying it out.
So you're actually training him, though, Denise, right? You're giving him the opportunity to make decisions.
Well, and you know what? It takes a lot from both sides. It takes a lot of respect from both sides, and it takes a lot of respect from his siblings too, right? They are giving him that chance too. Because right now, Peter and I own the farm. Peter and I are the owner. Peter and I are on all the paperwork. So we are actually also in the process of changing the will. The kids have agreed to it because then the realization came. Lucas, our oldest, actually went to, I think it was a Holstein, Canada, young farmer succession thing, and it was a weekend. And he came home and he said, Mom, if you both die, I am left with a third right now with how the will is written, which will make me stop dairy farming.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's a good point. So we talked about it and all the kids were agreeing to it.
Welcome to the Farm Family Harmony podcast. I'm Elaine Fraze, Farm Family Coach, here with another episode full of transition tips, tactics, and sometimes hard truths to get harmony on your farm. Hi there, folks. Welcome to another edition of the Farm Family Harmony podcast. I'm your host, Elaine Fraze, Farm Family Coach, and I am delighted to have a real farmer with me today to talk about your farm and your future. And her name is Denise Angst. And Denise, just remind me again how we met and what you've been up to lately on your farm.
I met You know what? I worked off the farm as a bus driver for many years, and then I quit that job in 2020 because our boys went out west to work, and I felt like I could be needed a little bit more on the farm. And so I quit my part-time job and I was at home, and I was really starting to look for information for farm succession and all this kind of stuff. And I found you through the internet, I'm pretty sure. And so I actually found you through the Farm Credit webinars, and I started to follow those a lot. And then I also talked to you through a webinar at one point.
Mhm.
And then when you came to Godrich, we were very excited to meet you in person in Godrich and be part of this one-day workshop. So you kind of have been always there giving me so many good pointers and information, just following you and listening to you. And so it's been very, very, it's just been a really big part of our own farm family succession story that's in the starting.
You've certainly been a cheerleader to me over the years, Denise, especially on social media. And the funny part I remember about being in Huron County a couple of years ago with you in Goderich was that your sons were with you, and I had everybody stand up and declare if they were in their 20s and if they were still living in their mother's basements. And both your sons said yes, but look how much money we're saving. So that's what I remember about
I
meeting
loved it.
for the first time. So you and your husband, Peter, are farming. You've also just recently taken on some additional off-farm work. Catch us up now to where you're at with your farm family and your business.
It has been so many changes in the last year, 2 years. So, 2 years ago when we were at that webinar, at that meeting in Godrich, the boys, both of them at that time, I don't think had girlfriends. So they were still living at home. And today we have moved, the two boys have moved off to a different property. And in the meantime, this 1st of November, we have actually moved to town, Peter and I. Peter and I have moved to town. Luke, as our oldest, has moved back to the dairy farm. And Patrick, our second one, is on that other property still, living there. And then we have our daughter, who is the youngest and who loves that she was able to grow up on the farm. But she says she doesn't want to farm. But of course, someday she would love to live somewhere. She's 22, so she's just finished her bachelor's of kinesiology and has started working in insurance. So probably looking after our farm insurance now. But anyways, she is living in our basement right now. So we were able to purchase a little house here in town, which I always wanted a little house. I was getting tired of the work around the farm and the bigger house and all the outside work. Just having all the off farm work too. And so this has been perfect. So we have moved to town and have that little house. Our daughter is living in the basement right now with the plan of a couple of years, and then she would like to be out too. Our oldest, Lucas, has moved to the home farm with his girlfriend. And our quest right now is to let them be there. He would like to take over the dairy farm, um, and try it out, right? So he has no name on any paper or whatever. He's experimental.
Mhm.
He's working on the farm. We are putting a lot of stuff into his hands to do, like call farm credit, make a meeting, tell them we need to look after everything. We need to sit together, like talk to crop insurance. He's doing everything. We are just kind of letting him manage and trying it out.
So you're training you're actually training him, though, Denise, right? You're giving him the opportunity to make decisions.
Well, and you know what? It takes a lot from both sides. It takes a lot of respect from both sides, and it takes a lot of respect from his siblings too, right? They are giving him that chance too, and they are respecting that too, because there's always questions like we've had. So I think our farm succession started in my mind very early when they were like 12 years old, and I
Okay.
told them that I'm paying them for every hour they work on the farm. Peter and I just chose to put them on payroll because we felt like if we pay them for the hours they work on the farm, not to unload the dishwasher or whatever, like they could do some stuff without being paid. But we just felt like down the road, our farm, we have like 55 milking cows. So it's really just supporting one family. So, and even I was working off the farm to make that little bit of extra. But we felt like that way down the road, if one takes over the farm and the other one maybe was the one that worked more at home, then it's fair, right? It's fair. It's not fair, but it's fair, right? We always talk about it being fair, but not equal.
And helps both of your boys and your daughter be successful. So that's the definition that I would subscribe to, Denise, is how you and Peter are giving opportunity to all of your children to be successful.
Yeah, and then I think that's our goal. So then a few years ago, our sons went out west in 2020, both of them for the summer. Then Lucas, our oldest, kept on, coming home for a couple months and going back again. And it was in 2022 November when he came home, and he said on the phone before he came home, he said, "Well, Dad, maybe you can just go work out of home and I can come home full time." Well, I mean, my husband, who has been a farmer forever in his life, but it was good because Lucas asked that question straight out. So it's good to ask questions and it's good to not fear the answers, because if we can sit together and talk about things. Well, my husband answered, "You come home first, you get a job, and you help on the farm, and we will see where it takes us. Give me a couple years." So he did. He gave us a couple years, and it wasn't him that pushed this whole thing this year. It was really interesting how it really happened fast this year, because in January, February, we thought like, well, maybe we'll wait till 2026 to get a house. Maybe we'll wait a bit. But then, of course, we have girlfriends involved, and lives evolving. And then Peter actually had this idea of going to New Zealand and working in New Zealand for a few months to give Lucas a chance to be at home full time on his own. And anyways, life happened, but this is why then we were talking and I was really having to research my own feelings. And I'm like, if you are leaving for 2 or 3 months and Lucas is in charge here on the dairy farm, I don't want to live here. I am working off the farm. I don't want to be the one that picks up the phone call in the middle of the night with the robot. So, people can look at me as like, what kind of a farm wife are you? But I felt
No judgment. No judgment. Come on, Denise. No
I
judgment.
know, but I felt like, what, I don't want to be the one holding everything together here on the farm while Peter's going to New Zealand, which I think is an awesome idea. Um, do it. But I was like, I'm not doing this. And then our daughter also started feeling that, you know what, it's time for me to move out of here. Like, for her, like when we were living in the farmhouse. So Lucas then started in May, Peter had surgery, and Lucas started working part time with his trucking. So he would be at home from 6 till lunch usually, and then he go trucking in the afternoon because he needs to make some money off the farm. So but he was always there. So breakfast and everything, it's all always about farming. It's all always about farming. And Michelle, our youngest, and I can feel for her. She came off university and then she started working. And I mean, and she was serving. She was actually working 3 jobs this summer. And then she came home to this pressure, right? There is all these talks, and it's always about it. It's always the same. So I think she felt like she needed to get out of this house too. So then we realized, well, you know what, we maybe need to make this house happen quicker.
So you created separation, Denise. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then we really we really involved Michelle with the buying of this house. Yes, this house was what we wanted and it's perfect for us, but it also was her with us looking, and we were offering her, you can live in our base, but of your own space here too. So she now has her little basement and her own little bathroom down there.
So,
So
so what you've just described to us, Denise, is that things can happen very quickly. But
oh,
here's the thing that I'm seeing as a coach, just watching your family, is that you also, first of all, had the right approach in terms of let's try things out. So bringing Lucas back and letting him be the main manager, and Peter, I take it, had surgery and then he went off to New Zealand, and you stayed.
no, so he never went.
Oh, he never
Here we
went.
go.
So
We got all this going, and so now we have the house, but then Peter never went. But it's also, my mom got sick and she actually passed away in September, so I ended up having to fly home. We grew up in Switzerland, so all our family is still in Switzerland. So I had to fly home in August, and then we flew home again in September, and the end of September, start of October for her funeral. So things just, there was just too much, and Peter didn't end up going, but he still has that on his mind, right?
well, it's still a future opportunity.
Of course, like he can still make it happen if he wants to. But in hindsight, I'm looking at it, well, maybe it was a good thing because for a little while we were like, okay, why aren't you going? Make it happen, right? But but it didn't happen, and it was okay because for our whole family, I think it just, I did a lot of personal growth work on myself, and that is what you've been following me on social media for. I chose to share my journey on social media years ago, and I'm still doing that. Finding my own strengths, my own like, as a farm wife, I was very much the type that did everything for everybody else and was working hard, and everything was about the farm, and the financial load was on my shoulder, and I took all of it on my shoulder. So I learned that I needed to do movement, needed to get enough sleep, and I needed to say no. So there's a lot of personal growth in my life over these last years that I know have helped me help this whole farm success.
Well, and for you to be strong and to have your bucket full, Denise, means that you have something to give. I'm just curious, how did you have conversations around all this change you were making?
So when Lucas came home in November 2022, we knew that he still was very much interested. He's always said it, but we always kind of take that as we always approached it the way we said to our children, if one of you really, really wants this farm, we will do whatever we can to make it happen as a family, but everyone needs to be part of it because we can also just sell the farm and not worry about a thing, right? So the choosing the farm succession is a lot harder journey than choosing to put the for sale sign up, I
Right.
believe.
My husband agrees with you totally. You have no successor and put the for sale sign up. That's a much different decision-making process than having
Yeah.
a whole family on board that one or two people are going to be successors for said farm.
Yeah, and I think so we started having family meetings. So I our first family meeting was just very simple and it was just about our will. Peter and I went because all the kids were past 18 now, so we felt like we needed to adjust our wills, so we went and we got our will adjusted and it was a very simple meeting. None of them had girlfriend or boyfriends involved. We sat together and it was pretty much about us telling them what's in our will and how this is looking right now and then we also shared what we talked about with the lawyer and how things could work. And it was always about too that we are not able to divide any money fairly. We will have to respect each other and everybody needs to be on one path. But also really encouraging them to ask the questions and to ask the hard things. And I mean, it really started when we went to this workshop the boys came and
They got to meet me finally.
I told them hey, Elaine is coming to Godrich, I really would love for you guys to go. And Michelle was still in university, she was fine without going, but I actually was very surprised. And I mean, I was really proud of them when they came and said, Mom, yeah, we're going. And then I was like, because at first I was going to send them on their own. But then I was kind of thinking, well, I want to meet Elaine personally. I've listened to her so much. I want to. So I said to them, boys, is it okay if I go too? Because I kind of would like to meet her. And that workshop was so, so good for all of us. And I think the boys took a lot away from that workshop.
Well,
And I think having that personal interaction with you.
yeah, and I think that's also the beautiful part of your story, Denise, is that the culture of your family, being a Swiss family of origin, and I have a tender spot for Swiss people, as you know, because we've had Swiss trainees working on our farm, several of them, 3 or 4 that have become like family. And last summer we actually went to celebrate their 50th birthday. So going to Switzerland for me is a enriching experience too, to keep that connection with our Swiss trainees who've become like family. But at Goderich, what happened is the ability for farmers, I think there were 198 farmers in the room, and it was put on by the Huron County Economic Development Group, which we should give a shout out to because they did a great job of planning it. And they also had other people support people like counselors and banks and other suppliers in the room as well. But I think the main thing for people to understand is what the beautiful thing that you've done with your boys and your family is you've taken all the things that you've learned through your self-development journey, through coming to seminars, and you actually put it into practice. You actually did something. So what happened after that seminar? How many family meetings did you have?
Well, we probably had, I would say, you know what, probably maybe 5
Okay.
or so by now. Started this. So then, of course, these ones were pretty simple ones, the first few ones, but I think it was so good that we did it because the simple, easy ones are easier to do. And you can
Yeah, it started. Yeah.
sitting together and talking about it. And the first meeting we ever had, it was so funny. My daughter, I actually put an agenda on the table for all of them and we take minutes so that it's written down. But my daughter sat down and she's like, "Do I have to go put my business clothes on?" So it was just good because it was light. It was easy to sit down together and do it at that time, right? And it was great. Started this year when we had a family meeting. Like there were hard questions. But good. I was so proud of the kids to actually ask these questions and put it out there because we know, like Patrick, our middle one, he loves farming. He loves farming, but he says, I don't want the dairy cows. If Lucas wants the dairy cows, I'm good. So we were able to get this property that has a little bit of land, and he is paying into the mortgage, and both of them were paying into the mortgage. And so we are we do need to respect the fact that he loves farming too, right? So that he can be part of it too. But he loves the cropping, and he knows with the land that we have, he would never ever be, even if he would take over our farm as a crop farm, he would never be able to work full time.
But the other piece of that story, Denise, is Patrick has all these farm skills.
Mhm.
He's super employable, and you've also given him a base.
Yeah.
So he has a base, and I'm thinking in my head custom work, and I'm thinking machinery and
Yeah.
a haying practice, a spraying business,
Yeah.
write yourself out as a farm employee, like all different kinds of things that Patrick can also do.
Yeah,
And
exactly. And we respect him for what he knows and what he can do, right? So we want him to be part of it too, and we respect and are thankful that he is letting his brother go for it, right? So and so we need to, all of us need to work hard to show each other that we really want to make this happen, right? And I always say to our oldest too, your brother is to be your best employee ever, right? He will show up and come help you whenever you need help. So, but you need to treat him respectfully, right? So I think that's where, a lot of times on our family farms, kids work for free, kids just work, work, work. And I don't know, and I might be totally off of it, but I just feel so far up until now, I feel it has paid off for our family.
well, for you, it's been a fair exchange of value, and it's
Yeah.
also given the boys and your daughter skin in
Yeah.
it because they're being valued for the skills they're bringing to the farm,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. So then to move on with this journey this year, so then we brought the accountant in the summer. We had a meeting with just the accountant and with the kids. So that was really good to just for the kids to ask questions and whatever, because right now Peter and I own the farm. Peter and I are the owner. Peter and I are on all the paperwork. So we are actually also in the process of changing the will. The kids have agreed to it because then the realization came. Lucas, our oldest, actually went to, I think it was a Holstein, Canada, young
Yes.
farmer succession thing, and it was a weekend. And he came home and he said, Mom, if you both die, I am left with a third right now with how the will is written, which will make me stop dairy farming.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's a good point. So we talked about it and all the kids were agreeing to it. So we went and we set up a new will, which hopefully we have in writing here soon. But that's been a process of this year too. But just all these realizations, and because they speak up and say so, right? Like, when one of the kids questions, well, Lucas is living on the home farm now, everything is paid by the farm. Well, but we are living, we have to pay hydro or whatever, right? So this has to be part of his sweat equity. So he is still writing down every single hour he works on the farm.
Well, and that's just good metric. So too, Denise, because you can't change. The saying is you can't change what you can't measure. So as long as Lucas has good records and data of his time, energy, and money, that's great. My other curiosity is now that you've met with the accountant once and you have a better, what I would call a contingency plan for if you and Peter should pass, suddenly it doesn't leave Lucas, in a bad spot with the dairy, which is very good planning. It's called contingency planning. What is your plan for income stream going forward as parents?
That's a really good question. So that is where my personal growth journey has made me really strong and just manifesting and believing it will work out somehow because, I think back 15 years ago, I would have never ever done what we did this year. Like investing in property like this, not knowing like the cash flow is not really there to support it. So So we're taking huge risks for our family, right?
Yes.
And for all of us.
Educated risks, I would say.
Well, we just yeah, so this is part of why we need another farm credit meeting to figure everything out again. But anyways, we so the plan right now is for a year or two, I have taken on this off-farm job that's going to bring me a little bit more income than the school busing did, and I actually love it. It's really it's fallen in place at the right time. So I really love this job. So I am taking a step back from the farm. I'm working off the farm to bring in the income for Peter and I to live right now. So for the next 10 years, Peter and I can live off that income with obviously the farm paying for our house. But so the plan right now is what we discussed with the accountant is to see, we are going to see how much do we really need? How much do Peter and I need? Because the farm going forward in the future will have to pay our retirement somehow, right? When we are not able to work anymore, the farm will have to support us. That's our retirement, right? Because the money is not there. Like we do over the past 3 years, I put my busing income into investment. Just, I didn't even look at it. I just moved it on. So we have saved up a little bit of an investment, but obviously it's not going to get us through 20 years of retirement if we live
Right.
till 90. So, but there is a little bit of something. But the goal right now is to find out how much do Peter and Denise need to live once we both don't work anymore.
Right.
Peter wants to keep working on the farm, so he is driving to the farm every day right now. That's what his goal is.
Is he taking a salary from the farm, Denise?
So right now we are not taking a salary from the farm. We are still moving just $1,000 a month into our investment from the farm. So we're still doing that, but we're not taking a salary. Our farm is a partnership, so we're yeah. So if we need money, we will take some, but we just are trying right now. The goal for this next year is to figure out how much do we need to live a good life
Right. What's
so that we have that set. Because I strongly feel that we need to make sure that Peter and I are safe financially because
Mhm.
we worked hard to get where we are.
Yes.
We don't own our kids to do this, but we want to because it's beautiful to see the farm it stay in the family. It's beautiful to see it keep going, right? And but we need to figure out how much we need so that we need to figure it out and then we need to adjust it with how life gets more expensive every time.
So you've brought in the accountant, which is wise because you did some big picture thinking and vision of what the dairy farm might look like going forward and what the structure needs to be and how people are going to be compensated. Have you also used a financial planner? Who have you used for your investments?
We have a financial planner, but we haven't really involved the financial planner in the talks about that for the investments. So I think, but that is part of maybe the plan going forward. Like at some point we might involve him. We feel that right now our goal, right now our short-term goal is to figure out how much does everybody need, right? So our next step, we need to write down Lucas with his sweat equity and what he is actually already putting towards the farm in a sense, plus what he is using from the farm for like heating oil and all this. So this is one other thing on our to-do list. Then figuring out over the next year what Peter and Denise need and want and not just need, right? Like, I feel like it's so important to talk to people because I don't ever forget there was a person once that told me, we said we're going to take whatever, for example, $3,000 a month out of the farm and that will pay for our living. Well, once they actually retired, she said,
That's $36,000 a year, Denise.
well, yeah, and then and she said once that we retired, my husband all of a sudden had this. One of a sudden, we realized that this is nowhere enough because now we have time for a hobby, and that's going to cost money. So, so I think that is something on my mind too, right? We need to really make sure that we are covering it because Peter loves golfing. I know he will want to golf. So we need to do things, right? We like to travel a bit. So we need to take everything. So I think this next year is going to be all about figuring out what we need plus what we would need if we,
Yeah.
down the road, for Lucas to figure out how it's working for him and his girlfriend on the farm. Is this really what I want? Like, yes, he will tell me, Mom, why are you asking me? I want the dairy farm. But you know what? Living there 24/7, if in a year he says, you know what? Maybe I don't want this for life, that's okay, right? We can pivot in another way again. So,
Yeah, the other question I have for Lucas, and if I saw him next week on the street, I would ask, "Hey, Lucas, have you got that Cohab agreement signed yet?"
so good job. You know what? Our lawyer is actually putting something together
Yeah.
that we're not rushing it right now, but he's actually putting something together. And we just
Okay.
I actually just a few days ago I talked to his girlfriend when they were here, and we were talking about that.
Yeah.
It's something that I think is important, but at this stage right now, like, she has already paid rent in the house prior, and we've signed rental agreements, and she's very willing to sign whatever needs signed. But
Yes, she understands the framework there too,
we
as a risk management strategy, and, they keep changing the names of these things, Denise. Now they call if people were planning to get married, they call them interspousal agreements, but for 2 people living together who aren't married,
yeah,
a cohabitation agreement, whatever you want. But I think it's important for our listeners to hear you and I just talking about it
yeah.
as if we were talking about another tool,
Yeah.
right?
And that's what it is. It's a tool, right? And I am very, very grateful that Lucas's girlfriend is open to talk about it, right?
Yes.
And that's very important for us going forward, because this relationship is going to be hopefully
Critical.
for another 30 years, because
Yes.
hopefully we won't die tomorrow, right? So yeah, no, it's important to talk about things like this. It is in the works. It's not happening right away. It might be summer or fall when it actually gets to it, but
So, Denise, if you recall in Goderich, the framework that we use for our Finding Fairness in Farm Transition seminars is I need you as parents, you and Peter, to understand what your income streams are going to be, which we've talked about. I want you to understand where you're going to live, which you've done action on already. You've moved to the house in town. And then the third key piece that we focus on is fairness. And you've mentioned that already, that these 5 or 6 meetings that you've already had with your children keep everybody aware of the why mom and dad are thinking this way. Lucas goes off to a Holstein Canada seminar. He gets more questions. He comes back. He's totally open and not afraid at all to have these amazing conversations with you as a family. And I think just hearing your story will give other families hope and understanding is that there's so much anxiety in agriculture and overwhelm about not doing this. So from your perspective, Denise, from your girlfriends, from the people that you've talked to in your circle, what do you think is keeping people from doing what you've already done?
they're scared.
Of what?
We're scared of saying something and then that blows up, or mom gets hurt, or I don't know. I think with my personal growth journey, I've learned it's harder to face the hard and work
Mm.
through it than it is to just sit back and wait it out and, oh, it'll work out somehow. Let's not talk about it, because it's easier not to talk about it, right? It is easier. It's easier not to talk about it, but you know what? Down the road, it's gonna
It's gonna
hurt
create some
so much more. Like,
exactly.
and I think opening up the communication, it gives us a chance to watch our kids go after things
And
that they
flourish.
like.
And flourish.
Our boys have gone into a partnership and rented land this year together. I never thought they would. They are so different, but what a great experience. And I mean, we supported them and we said, you're probably not going to make much money, but you know what? What a great
There's a
experience
lot.
for you.
They're gonna
Go try it. do it together. Realizing that the one is stronger at office work than the other one is. Like, finding out what are each other's strengths. Like my husband never did any office work. He doesn't want it. He doesn't like it. So I did everything. Now Lucas is taking over my office work part. And the other day I said to him, like, are you doing okay? Because he's still trucking too. So, and he says, yeah, no, it's fine. Like, he seems to, and he's starting to put Excel sheets together with, I don't know what all he figures out. And, it's exciting to see for us because he's doing stuff that I never did, or
He's going to have more tools. He's got AI and other spreadsheets and other software programs that weren't even available to you 20 years ago.
yeah, but it's exciting to see that part. I love watching my husband, and I think it's so, I honestly am proud of him. I think it comes from he lost his dad when he was 17,
Oh, so yeah.
and he was able to go to Canada for 8 months while they still had an employee at home. But then he had to go home and he started running that farm with his mom. Um, that's where the New Zealand idea comes from. He never had a chance to go then. So that's where he had the idea now, which I think is great. But anyways, he said, this is not being easy for him to make these steps, but he said, I am tired. Like I'm tired of managing. I'm tired to doing it all. I'm ready to pass it on. I've been making decisions since I was 17 and I'm ready. So here he's moving it on, but we also need to respect the fact that he's never known anything else but working on the farm. So for him, the idea of going for an off the farm job is really hard to grasp, right? So whether it's going to happen someday that he will make a choice like this or not, but we will find a way and we need to respect that too, that he likes that. And I think a big part too is respecting both ways, right?
Yep,
Our
the difference, not wrong. It's just different. Exactly. Everybody has a different approach.
kids, how kids do that, right? But for them to realize and respect, hey, this is where we started and this is where we are now. I mean, even I myself had to look at that whole picture many times and say, Denise, look at where you are now. When the debt feels overwhelming and the finances feel crazy and you're like, I don't know where left and right is. And then one has this idea, one has the other idea, and oh, let's invest in some more equipment. And you're like, I don't know where's left and right. How am I going to make this work?
Right.
But looking at the whole picture and seeing how far we actually came from 97 to now, immigrating, starting with nothing. Yeah, we didn't have the dairy barn. We built it and we really built our whole farm. We had the house and a little shed, an old bunk barn. And so, the other day when Lucas and his girlfriend were here, they pulled out some photo albums to, see where we
Where
started.
you'd come from. And
So
yeah.
the respect for that, right? So the young generation needs to respect the older generation, and we need to respect the younger generation. Let them talk about their ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I think that the people listening to this are just going, go Denise, go. Just, so I want to bring into the camera right now. This is a new book called Your Farm, Your Future. And it was put together by my good friend Maggie Van Camp, who is with farmbridge.ca. But I also want to give a shout out to other consultant friends who also worked on this project. So it was Len Davies, Patty Duran, Rob Knight, Trevor McLean, and Maggie and myself. So we're all in the back of the book. But Denise, I want to ask you these questions because I think you've already answered some of them. But one of the great things about this book, and we'll give the QR code and the link in the show notes, is it's questions. It's a quick guide of questions, just like at our seminar when we ask people questions and people from my seminars are texting me. Your sons are standing up and saying, Elaine, we still live in the basement. So the first question, and I just would like to go through these as we sort of wrap up, because you've given us a lot of good stuff already, Denise. What things excite you about stepping back?
Oh my God, I am so excited. Like,
Mm.
I am so excited. You know what? Moving into this house, moving away from the farmhouse has just taken a load off my shoulder.
There you go. What emotions come up when you think about the transition process?
Well, you know what? There's always the emotion that we're scared. We're always going to be scared because it's a heavy load financially. But I'm also excited because I see the kids being part of this, and I see all 3 kids being part of it, and I mean, isn't that all our goals as moms, that we can keep having the kids come home?
Well, and that in question 3, I think you've answered. What will success look like?
Mhm.
Right? The
That's my
kids,
success.
that's your success. When do you want to fully stop being responsible?
You know what? I mean, I am very ready to stop. My husband will be involved for a long time yet. I will be involved in the major things. I am actually trying to step back, and Lucas says, "Mom, no, you need to come to these meetings." So yeah, I mean, I will be involved in some of the bigger things. But I'm definitely stepping back. My husband being on the farm every day, him and Lucas will work together for sure. So
Right. What does being a great farm manager mean to you?
okay. Do you wanna know?
Yes. I wouldn't ask the question if I didn't want to know, my friend.
So, I was never the girl that was working in the barn, and I had to face that a lot. You know, I heard that a lot from
Oh,
people
you
over the
got judged
years.
because you didn't work in the barn?
Yeah, like,
Oh,
"What? You're not going out to do the calves? What? You're not doing this?" So, I would go out to the barn and help when help was needed, and that's when I loved going out there and help. But I wasn't the one that had to just be out there. So, anyway, can be anything. You do not have to be the one working around the cows. I think managing a farm as a couple for us, it worked because I loved the office work. Peter loved being outside and respecting the
Ringling.
strengths of everyone. That is what
Yes.
makes the management go.
So this might be a question for both Peter in the barn and you in the admin, and I think you've answered already again. How do you intend to share your responsibilities?
Yeah, that's part of like we are really like Lucas is taking over a lot of the office work. I'm still punching in the books, but we're talking about moving to AgExpert Online so we can both help out each other
Okay.
and do it together, and he has taken over. So really those responsibilities. So I am really personally I am moving away from the responsibilities of that, or that's the plan over the next couple of years, putting my effort into working out of home and helping out financially that way,
But
which I
you've also
think,
done some great training there too, Denise. Lucas is learning from you, the ag expert and the books and the admin.
yeah, and he's asking questions, which is great, right? He can text and ask. So I think we're open to help each other. And I think that's what's at the end, that's what's going to make it hopefully succeed because we can be here for each other. We can help each other. And the same for the other two, Michelle and Patrick. Like we're here. They know and we want them to know that we are here to try in one way or another helping them too, right? So
Yeah. And you've already answered this question that your current business is structured as a partnership. And you've already answered if something happened to you, could the farm continue to operate? Yes, because you're putting those agreements in place with your updated will. Um, this is an interesting question. Do you have a list of assets? Do you know what you actually own?
Yep. I've got like I know what we own. I know all the land and all the equipment and everything. And we do have that one investment and we do have some Gailey investment. So yes, I do know what we own.
I
Do
think
not
that's an interesting question.
I don't think that we own enough investments yet, Elaine. I think, I'll need to work on that.
That's okay. You're working on it. Are there specific gifts you wish to give?
The gift I wish to give.
Yeah.
I wish to be here for my children so they can succeed in what they dream of and what they love. So I am not here to set it all in place for them. But our hope, and I think that's for both of us, Peter and I, our hope is that, if Lucas wants a dairy farm, that he will do it lovingly and he wants to do it and it's his love and he wants to do it for years to come. I hope that we can help Patrick have what he finds joy in and still be part of the farm a bit. And I hope that we can help and support Michelle in what her goal is, where she would like to live at some point, right? And
So, so you didn't mention the gun set, the roll top desk, the old tractor. What gift you and Peter want to give your children, Denise, is the most beautiful one, which is the gift of you. It's the gift of you being there to support and give a leg up if necessary and to give opportunity. It's not a thing. It's actually you and Peter is the
yeah, like it's, yeah. I mean, you know what? Moving out of the house, it was quite a experience to clean out this farmhouse because my goal was to clean it out as good as possible because I don't feel it's right to leave a full house for the next generation and having them deal with everything that we added up. So it was a big, big, big thing, and I was all in the middle of my mom passing and everything. So it was a lot of things happening at once, and it was interesting. You know what? It was interesting because I kind of said to the kids, "Tell me what is in here that you would like." Like I tried to involve them, and it was really interesting how, what the boys picked, and then of course there was just a couple things and they all wanted it, like my rocking chair that was sitting idle for years and nobody cared about. When all of a sudden they all want a rocking chair. And
might
anyway,
be babies. There might be babies in your future, Denise.
well, you know what? I always say I'm not going to be the babysitting grandma. So you know what? Let's hope if that happens, we will love it. But
Right.
there is nothing like right now. We are working and we, do what's right for you guys. And we are not. I'm not the parent that's constantly like, oh, I want grandbabies.
Yeah.
When they come, I will enjoy them. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
I one thing at a time, right? So. But yeah, it is interesting and what one of a sudden becomes important to them. So, but yeah, it's not about the tractors and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
So I'm going to try and do this just as we wrap up here. This is the QR code, if and I'll just hold it there. And because some people will be watching this on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I hope I've held it up long enough. Anyway, it will be in the show notes.
Yeah.
I am just so delighted to have you share a story with us today, Denise, because so many things you've said to be an encouragement to women in agriculture to get stronger, to do the self-care work, to do the communication,
Yeah.
all the things, right, that have brought you and Peter to a place where were able to contain and hold your adult children in a beautiful space to say, yeah, we are going to start slow with some softer meetings. I don't know if you used a talking stick.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we did. The one day I got Michelle to bring a little cow, and they were all, okay, so are you totally nuts now, Mom? But of course, the boys knew about it from the workshop. But yeah, you know what? We tried it, and it's good to try it when it feels light, right? So it's good. And I think as we wrap up, I really want to encourage farm women to and any woman that has a business, a family business, to really really start working on yourself, start finding strengths for yourself, do things for you, move your body, read, do that personal growth, because I think it really really has helped me through this year. And yeah, and I still feel like I want to put my farm succession story someday in a book, and this is kind of cool to share on a podcast. I wrote a chapter last year in a book with different chapters about, and it's about my personal growth more so, and it's helped me reading the chapter over again to keep going and to keep finding the strengths. So I think it's very very important that us women in farming or any family business look after ourselves and not forget ourselves, because that strength that we gain there helps us do the other things.
Well, this is podcast, episode 62. So it's part of my story too of building a treasure chest of podcasts to encourage farm families. And I encourage this one, Denise, Your Farm, Your Future, which is the title of the book that Maggie Van Camp has collated. But I also said a happy story because very often people ask me, well, Elaine, what kind of examples do you have of succession transition plans that actually are happy stories? And of course, everybody's story is still unfolding, Denise. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Tell Peter I have friends in New Zealand. So when he goes to New Zealand,
Perfect.
I will give you some really good contacts to see.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I will tell him.
Tell the boys that I'm thrilled. Tell Lucas and Patrick that I'm thrilled that they've moved out of the basement and all the best.
And yes, that our story is definitely unfolding. I don't know where we are in 10 years, but let's hope and pray.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you folks for joining us today. I'm going to give a shout out to my dairy farmers in Vermont who I know mom's going to listen to this first and share it with the barn and the workers in the barn, and a shout out also to all of you listening. Thank you for spending your time with us today. And a huge gift to me as the host of this podcast was send me a quick email or a text and let me know what this impact was for you hearing Denise's story. And we'll see you next time. Stay well and keep moving. Denise would say.
Thank you for having me, Elaine. Happy New Year.
Same to you.